there, graders. It's good to see you back after spring break. It's time to let's review some comparing of fractions. Remember, before we left on break, we were using our understanding of the numerator and denominator to compare fractions. We were working with less than, greater than, and our equivalent or equal to symbols. Our standard is I can compare fractions and understand if two fractions are less than, greater than, or equivalent to one another. So let's just recap or review what we've learned so far. So when we have two fractions that have the same denominator, we're looking at the numerator to help us find how many of those parts of that same fraction we have. And in this case, we have 5 of these 8ths compared to 7 of the 8ths. Now, we know that the whole rectangle is broken up into 8 equal parts. And 5 of the 8 parts are shaded on the left-hand side, and 7 of the 8 parts are shaded on the right-hand side. So we know that 5/8 is going to be less than 7/8. Now, what happens when our numerators are the same, but now our denominators are different? So again, look at the denominators first, and we have 2 rectangles. One of those rectangles is broken up into 4 equal parts. The other rectangle is broken up into 8 equal parts. Now, 3 of the 4ths are going to be greater than 3 of my 8ths because 4ths are greater or larger than 8ths. So when I compare these two fractions, I know that 3/4 is greater than 3/8. Now what happens when they are equivalent to each other? Well, remember, these fractions represent the same shaded parts of the whole. Although all of these fractions are different, the parts of the whole are the same. So if you look at to the far right, we have this hexagon is broken up into 2 equal parts. And the shaded part is going to be 1/2, which you will notice right here to our right. If we take each half and break it up into 2 more parts, we've doubled our parts, and now we have 4 equal parts. But notice, the same area of that hexagon is shaded. So these are 2/4, which is the same as this 1/2. Now, if you go to the far left, we have a hexagon here, and this hexagon, each one of our halves has been broken up into 3 equal pieces. So we've taken this half and multiplied it by 3 now. So we have 3 equal parts on this half and 3 equal parts for this half. And so that gives us 6. And 3 of those 6 are equivalent or equal to the same half that we had in this first hexagon. So let's go ahead and use what we remember about equivalent fractions to take a look at this next slide. So here you see a circle, and it is broken up into 4 equal pieces. That tells us we are working with 4ths, and one of those 4ths is shaded. Now, what happens if we take each one of those 4ths and break it up into 3 more pieces? So let's see what happens. Well, these are broken up. This 4th is broken up into 3. This 4th is broken up into 3. So now I'm at 6. This 4th is broken up into 3 pieces. Now I'm at 9. And this 4th is broken up into 3 pieces. So now instead of this whole circle being broken up into 4ths, now we've taken and tripled our pieces by multiplying it by 3. And now we have 12ths, which means that we're going to take this one piece right here, and we're also taking that 1 and tripling it into 3 equal pieces for our numerator. So 3/12 is the same as or equal to 1/4. And we know that 12 is a multiple of 4. So now let's practice. Take out your fraction strips, and I'll give you just a few seconds to do that. Take out your fraction strips so they can help you to compare fractions. We're going to do some comparing of fractions. So you need a piece of paper, and we're going to start with number 1. So put a number 1 on your paper. Make sure your name and date is also on there. So let's take a look at number 1. Write number 1 on your paper. Write these two fractions down, 1/4 and 2/8. What can you tell me about 1/4 compared to 2/8? Is 1/4 less than, greater than, or equal to 2/8? Number 2, write these two fractions down, 2/3 and 2/8. What can you tell me about 2/3 compared to 2/8? Please remember to look at your denominators and your numerators as well. Is 2/3 less than 2/8? Is 2/3 greater than 2/8? Or is 2/3 equivalent to 2/8? Number 3, write these two fractions down, 3/3 and 8/8. Think about your denominators. Is 8 a multiple of 3? And think about comparing it to the whole. So 3/3 is less than 8/8. Is 3/3 greater than 8/8? Or is 3/3 equal to or equivalent to 8/8? Number 4, you have the fraction 5/6. Please write these down. And 3/6. So if I have 6/6 in a whole, think about you have your denominator. Each one of those denominators is being compared to 6. What can you tell me about 5/6 compared to 3/6? Is 5/6 greater than 3/6? Is 5/6 less than 3/6? Or are they equal to each other? Number 5, again, we're looking at two fractions. The first fraction is 4/4, and we're using that to compare 4/5. So again, looking at your denominators, think about your unit parts. Think about 1/4 compared to 1/5. And then looking at your numerator, you have 4/4 compared to 4/5. Is 4/4 less than 4/5? Is 4/4 greater than 4/5? Or are they equivalent to each other? Number 6, you have the two fractions, 4/6 and 2/3. Noticing, looking at your denominators, remember, think about your multiples. Is 4/6 less than 2/3? Is 4/6 greater than 2/3? Or is 4/6 equal to 2/3? Three-sixths, that's our first fraction, and we're comparing that to half. Again, look at your denominators, think about your multiples. Is 3/6 less than half? Is 3/6 greater than 1/2? Or is 3/6 equal to 1/2? We're using 3/6 again. Is 3/6 compared to 3/3? Look at your denominators first. Think about which parts or pieces are larger. And think about looking at your numerators, how many of those parts do you have? So if I have 3 of the 6th compared to 3 of my thirds, what can you tell me about 3/6 compared to 3/3? Is 3/6 less than 3/3? Is 3/6 greater than 3/3? Or are they equal to one another? Number 9, we have 3/3 and 1/3. So again, look at your denominators and look at your numerator. If I have 3/3 and I compare that to 1 of my thirds, think about, is 3/3 less than 1/3? Is 3/3 greater than 1/3? Or is 3/3 equal to 1/3? Number 10, 7/8, and comparing that to 5/8. Again, look at your denominators first, then look at your numerators. Is 7/8 going to be less than 5/8? Is 7/8 going to be greater than 5/8? Or are these equal to each other or equivalent? One more, 1/8, which is a unit fraction, and 1/4, which is also another unit fraction because each one is one of the parts. So if I have one of my 1/8 pieces and I compare that to one of my 4th pieces, is 1/8 less than 1/4? Is 1/8 greater than 1/4? Or are they equal to each other? So, how did you do? Put how many you missed at the top of your page. Hope you did well. We're going to continue working with fractions, comparing equivalent fractions and unequivalent fractions. So, let's keep practicing. Great job, guys.